So 3 quantum principles that have been basically that were reinforced in this first course I took were discontinuity, leaps in consciousness, non-locality, and then the tangled hierarchy. So that's what I want to end on, is the tangled hierarchy, which is fun. Okay, so let's talk about the tangled hierarchy. So it is the idea that a single living cell is a tangled hierarchy in itself. Life begins when a tangled hierarchy comes into play. In a cell, the most important components are DNA and proteins. Okay, so that's established. That's actually established by Western medicine. Are you with me so far? Most important elements of a cell, DNA and proteins. And this is the clincher. Proteins are essential to make DNA. DNA is essential to make proteins. So how do you create a cell? Right? So you actually cannot synthesize, can never synthesize a living cell because of the circularity. So it's also the chicken and the egg scenario. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? and so the tangled hierarchy is the idea that they occur simultaneously. That's the quantum leap idea. The first becomes last, the last becomes first. The solution is in place the moment the problem occurs. Yeah, cool, huh? Okay. So you can play with this. This is like, there's so many angles. This is one that I'm stretching a little, but I think it is kind of interesting. Power is shifting. Solutions are coming from unexpected sources. Can anybody see the picture there? Sorry. Has anybody seen Hidden Figures? Okay, so Hidden Figures is a movie about the 3 women who, and you can turn the lights back on maybe now, 3 women out of many who used their skill and their ability to support the NASA, the space program. So I just thought, isn't that ironic? What if in 1981, and actually this happened before, so it would have to have been before that, what if because consciousness knew in 1981, the consciousness of the planet would say, let's support the space program before we support Africa. And so consciousness said, oh, well, let's create a little tangled hierarchy here so Africa can support your freaking space program, right? If your ego mind has to go to space and land on the moon before you can have compassion on my people, then let's bring the people you get to have compassion on to the space program so you can get there, you can resolve your ego, and sorry, I'm on a soapbox, obviously. And then have compassion on the ones who are waiting. There's a lot of controversy about this still, and I thought it was really interesting that still there is a lot of discussion and evaluation of this. But it's not actually the space program that has the biggest competition. A price has been set and estimated by the United Nations to solve this global poverty crisis at $30 billion a year. It may seem like a large sum of money, but when compared to the US defense budget at $737 billion in 2012, $30 billion seems more attainable. The $30 billion expense is manageable, especially when the US would be joined by other investors in global poverty. But the US has the capacity to be the leader on this issue. And it may need to be the leader on the issue. So another little interesting thing is how much does the US government spend on fighting poverty around the world? $80.37 per taxpayer per year, on average. Okay, and that's the developmental aid. Compare that with how much Americans spend per year on candy, on lawn care, and on soft drinks. Isn't that interesting? So where are our values? Let's look at that. Okay, so let's talk about someone with values. This is Lubega Jaludin Mosh. He is a man who was raised, he actually became an orphan in his childhood. His mother died of AIDS. He was raised in Kampala. His mother died of AIDS, and his father had never been in the picture. He was saved, I think, by a Good Samaritan. He calls her a Good Samaritan, a woman who came to his aid and raised him. Basically just took him off the streets, gave him a home, gave him food, gave him a college education. And he was able to go to Makerere University in Kampala, where he studied social services, which is kind of like social work here in the US. And then went out to figure out what is he supposed to do with that, and discovered the kids on the street that were living in these situations that he recognized. And took 25 of them in and made an orphanage and basically started to care for these 25 children. So he has reached out to people. He's very savvy online. He's like got a lot of things figured out. He's gotten a website figured out. He's got connections figured out so that he was able to create a board of directors and create an official charity foundation. And so I started supporting it, like I said. And then what was interesting is that while I was in while I was in India, I learned about malaria and how silver is really effective when you have malaria symptoms because it's antibacterial, antimicrobial, and it helps kill the malaria. And so I learned also that a woman had gone to visit the orphanage and the children were dealing with malaria symptoms. And so they were sweating and had, all the fun stuff that comes with malaria. And if they had silver, it would treat that within a day or two. So I really wanted to send them some silver. And right before I could get the silver sent off, we went on a cruise. And I think, look at the irony of that. I really struggled with it. I really struggled with the idea of going on a cruise when I had this job to do and get something to this orphanage. And so what I did with it is I had everyone who was on this cruise. It was like a family reunion cruise, so there was like 22 of us. And there were 25 orphans, and so I had everyone at dinner time write a note to one of the kids. They picked a child and made a little note. So that's what I did. I put together a package, and I had all these cards, the silver, the marshmallows. Then I found out how much it cost to send it. It cost more to send it than everything that was in the box was worth. So that's when I started to think about the idea. Oh, and then this is isn't that just cute? You could turn off the lights for that one too, so you can see them. So holding the silver, holding the marshmallows, holding the cards, so it reached them, and I was so connected to them, I think, after that. So that's when I was kind of inspired with the idea of going to Uganda, because it just seemed like that would be the best way to get a lot of stuff there, and it really is. So we actually found that it's not a whole lot more to fly to Uganda with 100 pounds worth of luggage than it is to send 100 pounds worth of stuff. So I think it's going to be a value just in that. So these are ways that you can serve. If you would like to be involved in, and really, here's what I see, and the sense I have of it is that our lives will shift as we do this work. To me, I have met people that are supporting Africa, and they are some of the highest frequency people I've met. I mean, there is a connection to doing this kind of work and having a life that is in a high frequency. So that's one way you can serve, is to go to the orphanage. You can get involved with the board. The board, these are busy women, and they're only able to do so much, and they can use support. And you can host a fundraiser. Lots of ideas, ways that you could do that. And so like a spaghetti dinner, I'll share that I helped build a well in India a few years ago by getting some young women together and having a spaghetti dinner. And this was what was so fun, is that the young women came out to the tables before the people had started eating to fill up their glasses of water, and guess what kind of water they got? They got them out of big, ugly, old gasoline jugs, and they were dirty. It was dirty water. And so it was really symbolic. It's like, would you like to drink that? And how about if we help others so they don't have to? So that was fun, and I helped build a wall.
How much is it a year to sponsor?
So sponsoring, okay, so the highest priority is actually monthly donations, because they've got to have money coming in. He can't do another job. That's his job. So basically, this is like a single mom of 25 kids. And they don't have welfare, and they don't have food stamps, and they don't have, Social Security, and they don't have, there's a lot of things they don't have to cover that. So he's going to have to find ways to support it. And he's trying everything. He's got the kids making beads. He's got, he's willing to do whatever. But you don't want the kids to actually have to work instead of go to school, for example, and we're going to talk about that. So Patricia is a young girl that Mosh chose to rescue, so sponsoring a child. This is an example of one of those. So every time he went to serve food at the Kissimmee slums, her food would be stolen by gangs of older boys, and she never defended herself. She was too scared. Her history is unknown. She claims that she came to the slums with her mother, who then abandoned her. And she likes playing with other girls. She likes making dolls out of her clothes, and she likes organizing the girls' room. So she's, I can't wait to meet her. She needs a better education to be given a chance. So that's the biggest thing, is the kids have not had an education. They actually went to school for the first time last spring because of some of the efforts that myself and some of the people that I've connected to have done to get them into school. It costs $1,500 for a term. There's 4 terms per school year. It's about $250 per child per year. And the next term just started yesterday. So this is their current term. They were able to pay half of the tuition for the current term, but they need the other half, so half of the $1,500 to keep them in school. And that's their self-sufficiency if you look at it. There's a lot of programs for families in Africa to help them become self-sufficient. It'd be a little difficult to do that in an orphanage because there's a lot just going into taking care of these kids rather than all the things that would be managed by a normal household. So anyway, so there's things that they can do, but the idea is if they have schooling, they have the opportunity to go to another level in life. So, okay. Then the grassroots, and then $45 a month will feed a child fully. So that 1 meal a day, do you guys like 1 meal a day? I guess we can live on that, but it'd be nice to have 3, right? So that's $45 a month. And so here's what I'm offering to do. And Bonnie left, but I'll tell her. She gets to help me with this, mostly just because of her time. I will make sure that Bonnie gets paid. But the biofeedback session for the first 5 people who donate the $45 per month or more I'm going to give 5 biofeedback sessions, basically, to either donating $45 a month or more, or the $150 for school to help them with this term. So it creates a win-win, I think. So
100% going towards
100%, yes. And that's part of the reason we're going there, because we want to make sure that it's maximized. So one thing that we learned is that he's spending money on food in places that are accessible to him, but there may be better places. So he just found out, for example, that the school gets their food from a place that has kind of like us getting stuff from Costco instead, or Sam's Club instead of, Walmart, or whatever. Instead of like a little, in fact, he's not even going to a Walmart. He's like going to the neighborhood store where everything's marked up. So we're trying to figure out how we can make sure that he's getting, because food is really expensive. That's the highest cost, and we're trying to figure out why. So that's one of our goals in going over there, is to figure out why his food, it's like opposite of here. It's like his food is about what our rent is, and his rent is about what our food is. So it's kind of flip-flopped. So, yes?
He told me, we've been in touch,
Oh, cool.
that they need chickens.
They need chickens.
They do.
And they can have chickens?
Yes.
We're going to get them some
So
chickens
here's
then.
the thing.
That's awesome.
He said, little.
Oh, they do? Okay.
So that.
Wow, I didn't know this.
So
This
what
is good.
would $290 times
$290. So,
I'm in.
awesome.
I
Perfect.
can-
And so when you donate, so I can go back and show you on the, okay, so this is a little tricky. People get a little confused by it because there's a little form on the left. That's so if you want to do monthly donations. But then if you scroll down, I'm trying to think how that would, in the PayPal, so pretty much all of it goes through PayPal. But you can do a monthly donation if you use this corner, and then you can just go to PayPal if you just want to do. So if you did PayPal, you could click that, do an amount towards the chickens, and then in the comments with PayPal, you can say that's what you'd like it to go for. So, yeah, I love this. Thank you. Well, that's one of the things I was going to check out, and now we know. Thank you.
He talks to me all the time.
That's so cool.
Sit and chat.
I don't think he sleeps.
He's very social.
Because you know what, I will send him messages at what's the middle of the night there, and he responds. And I'll send him at what's day there, and he responds. So, anyway, yes, same thing. Yes, there's a lot of people doing this. I didn't know how many people were doing this, and they're amazing people. So get involved. It's cool. Okay, so I'm going to close up, so if anybody needs to leave, they can. But please feel free to stay. We have more time, and we can talk more. So, Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting this.
Fill out the sign-up sheet regarding the orphanage.
Thank you. I'm going to work on my anger about the space program too. I promise.